are young people leveraging AI? AI-powered education is next. It's great to have a guest with us again today. And in fact, it is a young adult who is using AI in the classroom on a project right now. And so has some real moment to moment experience that she can share with us. And then, of course, Casey happens to be her instructor and can tell us more about the whole AI experience and what prompted her to think about doing this project. And then we're going to get to hear from Reese talk to us about how it all turned out and what she thought about it. So, Casey, why don't you explain what all happened?
Yeah, thanks, Sandra. I'm so excited to talk about this project that I had my college writing students explore. So basically, this sort of stems from the idea that we need to get students to recognize that AI is a tool. It's not a crutch. It doesn't replace the work that we do. It enhances what we do. And really trying to get them to be the users of this technology, but in a safe and controlled environment. So I created this assignment to sort of help them strengthen their writing that they're currently working on very specifically. So no surprise, most of the time when we're writing things in college English class, the thesis statement becomes troublesome, right? Like we can never quite get it the way we want it to be. We struggle a little bit with the expectations for the assignment and also like our own writing style and trying to figure that out. And then on top of it, the assignment that they're working on right now is a grant proposal. What's most important in this proposal for me as the instructor is to show the research that it takes to develop a comprehensive plan, and then also the problem, like to prove that the problem is real and that we need a solution for it. So they have this essay assignment, and now they have this ChatGPT assignment to help enhance that essay. And what they're going to do is ask ChatGPT for help with the things that are always difficult. So the thesis statement is one. And then the next thing is to also get some help with maybe the budget or the breakdown of how the money in the grant would be spent. Because I don't necessarily, as the writing instructor, care about the fine details of that, yet I know how important it is when they're trying to learn how to write about something that's real. They have to know about this financial side. And so I thought, what better way to use AI than with this? So I'm going to share my screen so that you can see what the assignment looked like. And I think that this might help to kind of give listeners a little bit of an overview of how we can use that AI in our classrooms. So you can see using ChatGPT to strengthen your grant proposal and budget section. It was very specific. I used ChatGPT to help make this. So I could probably show you that chat log too, where we go over me trying to get to this conclusion, but I'll save you the time. So these are the assignment gives you an opportunity to work with ChatGPT to see it as a tool, right? That's what we want, not a crutch. Ask targeted questions. So we've been working over the last couple of essays that they've done in class and in having writers meetings where the students and I meet one-on-one. They ask me specific questions about their writing. This is meant to sort of not replace it, but to add to that. So what questions would you ask your instructor? Can you ask ChatGPT those same types of questions? And then to collaborate with AI to build a logical and well-supported budget plan. So notice the word collaborate. That's what we're looking for, is like your partners in this. It's not doing all of the work for you. Instead, you're trying to get it to help you with the work that you need. And then they had to do a reflection assignment on it. So very specific instructions overall. Do exactly these things and it'll make it a lot easier for you. So I didn't just say, go to ChatGPT, figure it out. It's very prescribed to try to help them. Questions that they could ask. These are the types of questions that they would ask me during writers' meetings. So makes sense that they could go to AI to ask that. Asking how do we get very specific results for the budget section of their proposal. And then their feedback. They're required to turn in their rough drafts of their essay in addition to the chat log that they had with ChatGPT, and then they had to write a 200 to 300 word reflection on that. And so that's the assignment overall. We talked about acceptable use, non-acceptable use, and then how they're going to be graded on this assignment overall. So I wanted to give you that lowdown, and then I want Reese to kind of share what her experience was like getting this assignment, how she felt about it, how she used it, and if she's ready and when she's ready, I can share her chat log with ChatGPT so we can take a look at that too. So Reese,
Perfect.
thank you for coming on here and talking with us.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. So I would have to say that using ChatGPT as a resource rather than just doing our work was really beneficial. I think for a lot of us students, it was really important to set that boundary where to like know that ChatGPT, what they write isn't better than what we write, and that it's just helping us. So my project was actually about adopt a grandparent program. So we don't have that in Perham. So it was nice to have a resource to help me with the budgeting. It ended up being around $45,000 that they suggested, and it broke it down. Yeah, I think using ChatGPT as a resource was really helpful. Um, Especially for like the little things too, because I showed it my essay and it was like, oh, you could change this. It even found spelling mistakes and things like that and refined my thesis. And I liked how we had to state in our reflection like what we really changed. So you as the instructor kind of knew like why we were using it and what we changed. So we can kind of give credit to ChatGPT also.
Reese,
Yeah.
did you feel that you had like almost like a friend, a mechanical friend, but somebody that could give you feedback right away, like almost like an instructor or a collaborator? Did it turn into feeling like collaboration to you or not?
Yeah, I thought so. It was one of my first few times using ChatGPT. I had used it in past things like coming up with student council, fundraising ideas and stuff like that. But yeah, it was fun and like making a game out of it because I'd be like, hello, like stuff like that. Um, but yeah, it was really nice. We worked together and I would make sure I gave it specific details. Like here's what I have to do. That way it wouldn't give me like other things. And I learned that right away because the first thing I said was like, I have to write an essay, blah, 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 enter. And then it gave me a whole layout and what I should write. And I was like, no, actually, I have it. Here it is. How can I refine my thesis? So it was like working with another person, and it was enjoyable having that kind of instant gratification, like instantly knowing what I had to fix. It really did save time. And I even used it for checking my sources and making sure my works cited page was correct. And yeah, it was nice. It was definitely a companionship type of
It
thing.
almost sounds empowering in a way that you're not constantly waiting for someone else who doesn't have time to say, affirm, like, oh, yeah, that was right, or like, just fix this or do whatever. You're still doing all that work or you're making those decisions, but you have that immediate, like, yeah, this is right. You're on the right track, or,
Mm-hmm.
right. Yeah, I can see why
Yeah.
that's powerful.
Yeah. And it's almost like I like to think of it as being more responsible and showing that you really care about your work. Because it's like now I can just use this resource to really check and make sure, not write it for me, but make sure that my writing is correct. Because I care about my grades and things like that and how I do on assignments. So,
Reese, would you be okay if I shared your chat log for this?
yeah, of course.
Okay, so I'll share my screen again and I'll show your chat log here, and if there's anything you see in particular that you would like to talk about. But I'll just kind of start it where you had put in your essay and you gave it the assignment description, like what you were supposed to do. So it it came back with this: your essay is well organized, presents a strong argument, and then here's some suggestions for refinement and polishing. So when you got these suggestions, what was your initial thought, and how did you feel about these suggestions?
My initial thought was that it was better than what I had. Like I was like, okay, this is really good. Um, but I felt like the suggestions were also something I could have came up with had I gave it more thought.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I actually do use the thesis, the refined one, and a little play off of the hook introduction because all I had was a statistic right away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, thinking about how we conduct our writers meetings, and if you were sitting in the room with me, how do you feel the feedback from ChatGPT compares to the types of feedback that you might get from an instructor?
Right. I think it how it differs.
Yeah. How does it
Yeah.
differ, or how is it similar?
Yeah. So ChatGPT really can thoroughly show me and like bullet points, whereas writers' meetings, it's more personal and genuine because you know how everyone writes looking at past essays. And I'd say the biggest thing, I haven't really experienced it, but in our writers' meetings, a lot of my suggestions were to move things like, oh, this should go here. And ChatGPT never had said anything like that. Um, but yeah, it's similar in some ways, but ChatGPT it differs because it's just everything you could possibly think of. Whereas our writings meetings are only like 15 minutes long, and yeah, you just can't cover as much in that time.
Right. So what it does is it allows you to get like that 15 minutes of time that you and I would have discussed maybe one question, like the organization of your points. It allows you to get that, and then the other questions that you might have, right, in that time frame, and then you can come back to it and look at it. What's really great, I think, about what I see on here is the recommendations about like incorporate more localized statistics or stories. It didn't tell you what statistics to put in. It didn't give you, information that wasn't accurate or things that wouldn't make sense. But you can make a decision now as the writer to be like, do I want to, find something on, one particular part of it. Like you get to explore it further, like what that means to you. And then the style and tone, like I feel as though a lot of times we don't spend time in class discussing really specific ways that Reese could do this or like any others. It's very collective
Right.
in how everybody can. So I think that's really cool that it gives you like, here specifically, you use these phrases frequently. Look for a way to vary that. It doesn't tell you exactly what to say, right? Now you could go one step further and ask for that. Here it gives you some
Right.
proofreading stuff. And then you have these specific questions that you asked, right? And then it gives you that solution. Here's what you currently do. Here's the explanation on why it does or does not work. Right? Gives you something revised. The hard part, and we discussed this in class, is like, how do we not take the thing that seems perfect, right? Where you're like, oh, they did it perfectly. So what have you done to try to help yourself kind of trust yourself? Because that's one of the things that I say in class is like, I want your writing, not like somebody else's. So what are you doing to try to trust that you can come up with just as great of a refined thesis statement or whatever it might be than like a robot can?
Yeah. I would say setting a boundary on like just knowing that initially, like my writing is good. I'm in this class for a reason, things like that. But also comparing like what I wrote to what they wrote. Like it's pretty similar. It just in terms of like my thesis before, it just wasn't as specific. And so the thesis they gave me was more specific. So I was like, okay, well, that's
That's something you learned, right? Yeah, you learned right there. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. because thesis should be specific, you know? And we know that that's kind of the hardest part of writing, is making sure that thesis is narrowed down well. But
So Reese, how will you see yourself? I mean, you're a senior now. How do you see using ChatGPT or any AI tool as you head off to school? Do you like to your college? How do you see yourself in that future?
I've used it for some application things and helping me like understand what the question is really asking, examples of like for applying for stuff, you know, the writing supplements and everything. I can totally see myself just in any way, like wherever I end up going, like activities to do, how to make friends, even like, you know, ways to just get a quick kind of answer on things.
So you're
And
not alone, kind of, right?
yeah, yeah. Especially if I go far, it'll be nice for, not that I really need to explicitly learn how to make friends, but it would be nice, like, what kind of gatherings could I go to? What should I look for? Things like that. It's just a tool you can really use whenever. And yeah, I would say now, ever since that assignment, I've used it more. I even asked it, going back to the chat log thing, it said you use social isolation and loneliness a lot. And I asked it today, what are other words I could use? And it said like being disconnected and things like that. So I was like, okay, yeah, it's it's more effective than just a Google search.
So Reese, we're really glad that you shared this information with us, and this is what Casey and I talk about in our program all the time. And you said it so well at a personal level, and we're just so thrilled and so thankful that you are here with us today. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so
Yeah,
much, Reese, for sharing this. I know it's like one of those vulnerable moments in our lives where we're sharing the real stuff that we're doing. And I appreciate you being willing to share that chat log, because I think it's important for people to see specifically how do we really use it. We talk about using it. We talk about, you know, the strengths and the values, but to really see it is a different part of what we're trying to accomplish here. So thanks for letting us
exactly.
do that.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say too, going off of that, I think it's important for students to learn what good usage of it looks like, because I know a lot of my classmates, the more like athletic kids, the kids who don't really care as much, they're like, okay, yeah, I'll log in. And the kids who really care about school and would never use ChatGPT were like, oh, I don't have an account, like things like that. And it is almost looked at in a high school standpoint as like embarrassing if you use ChatGPT, because it's like cheating in a sense, like people think that, but it really can be used. In this assignment, like taught, I think most of us, that it can be a resource. And yeah, it's not embarrassing and you're not cheating. You're using your resources, which is something everyone should do. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Perfect.
So thank you guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.